Chapter 1 of the Complete Works of Artemus Ward, Part 2, War. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Complete Works of Artemus Ward, Part 2, War, by Charles Farrar Browne. Chapter 1. The Show is Confiscated.
You have perhaps wondered whereabouts I was for these many days gone and past. Perchance you supposed I'd gone to the tomb of the Capulets, though I don't know what those is. It's a poplar newspaper phrase. Listen to my tale, and be silent that ye may hear I've been among the seceshers, earnin my daily peck by my legitimate profession, and havin' had no time to wield my facile quill for the great comic paper, if you'll allow me to quote from your truthful advertisement. My success was scaly, and I likewise had a narrer escape of my life. If what I've been through is Southern hospitality, about which you've heard so much, then I feel bound to observe that they made too much of me. They was altogether too lavish with their attentions. I went among the seceshers with no feelin's of animosity. I went in my professional capacity. I was actuated by one of the most loftiest desires that can swell the human bosom, viz., to give the people their money's worth by showing them sagacious beasts and wax statutes, which I ventur to say air unsurpassed by any other statutes anywheres. I will not call that man who says my statutes is humbug a liar and a hoss thief, but bring him before me and I'll wither him with one of my scornful frowns. But to proceed with my tale. In my travels through the sunny South I heerd a heap of talk about secession and bustin up the Union, but I didn't think it amounted to nothin'. The politicians in all the villages was swearin' that old Abe, sometimes called the Prairie Flower, shouldn't never be noggerated. Well, they also made fools of theirselves in various ways, but as they was used to that I didn't let it worry me much, and the stars and stripes continued for to wave over my little tent. Moreover, I was a son of Malty, and a member of several other temperance societies, and my wife she was a daughter of Malty, and I s'posed those facts would secure me the influence and protection of all the first families. Alas, I was disp'inted. State arter State seceshed, and it growed hotter and hotter for the undersigned. Things came to a climax in small town in Alabamy, where I was peremptorily ordered to haul down the stars and stripes. A deputation of red-faced men come up to the door of my tent where I was standin' takin' money. The arternoon exhibition had commenced, and my Italian organist was jerkin' his soul-stirrin' chimes. "We air come, sir," said a millingtary man in a cocked hat, "upon a high and holy mission. The Southern Eagle is screamin' throughout this sunny land, proudly and defiantly screamin', sir." "What's the matter with him?" says I. "Don't his vittles sit well on his stomach?" "That Eagle, sir, will continner to scream all over this bright and tremenjous land." "Wall, let him scream. If your Eagle can amuse hisself by screamin', let him went." The men annoyed me, for I was busy makin' change. "We are come, sir, upon a matter of dooty." "You're right, Capting. It's every man's duty to visit my show," said I. "We air come, and that's the reason you are here," says I, larfin' one of my silvery larfs. I thought if he wanted to goke I'd give him some of my sparklin' epigrams. "Sir, you're inserlent. The plain question is, will you haul down the Star-Spangled Banner and hist the Southern flag?" "Nary hist." Those was my reply. "Your waxworks and beasts is then confiscated, and you air arrested as a spy." Says I, "My fragrant roses of the southern clime and bloomin' daffodils, what's the price of whiskey in this town, and how many cubic feet of that seductive fluid can you individually hold?" They made no reply to that, but said my wax figgers was confiscated. I axed them if that was ginrally the style among thieves in that country, to which they also made no reply, but said I was arrested as a spy, and must go to Montgomery in arms. They was by this time jined by a large crowd of other Southern patriots, who commenced hollerin', "Hang the bald-headed abolitionist and bust up his immoral exhibition." I was seized and tied to a stump, and the crowd went from my tent, that waterproof pavilion wherein instruction and amoosement had been so muchly combined, at 15 cents per head, and tore it all to pieces. Meanwhile, dirty faced boys was throwin' stones and empty beer bottles at my massive brow, and takin' other improper liberties with my person. Resistance was useless, for a variety of reasons, as I readily obsarved. The seceshers confiscated my statutes by smashin' them to atoms. They then went to my money box and confiscated all the loose change therein contained. They then went and bust in my cages, letting all the animals loose, a small but healthy tiger among the rest. This tiger has a eccentric way of tearin' dogs to pieces, and I allers supposed from his general conduct that he'd have no hesitation in servin' human beins in the same way if he could get at them. Excuse me if I was cruel, but I larfed boisterously when I see that tiger spring in among the people. "Go it, my sweet cuss!" I inwardly exclaimed. "I forgive you for biting off my left thumb with all my heart. Rip 'em up like a bully tiger whose lair has been invaded by seceshers." I can't say for certain that the tiger seriously injured any of them, but he was seen a few days after, some miles distant, with a large and well selected assortment of seats of trousers in his mouth, and as he looked as though he'd been havin' some violent exercise, I rather guess he did. You will therefore perceive that they didn't confiscate him very much. I was carried to Montgomery in irons and placed in durance vile. The jail was an ordinary edifice, but the table was liberally supplied with bacon and cabbage. This was a good variety, for when I didn't hanker after bacon I could help myself to the cabbage. I had nobody to talk to, nor nothin' to talk about, howsever, and I was very lonely, especially on the first day. So when the jailer parsed my lonely cell, I put the few stray hairs on the back part of my head I'm bald now, but there was a time when I wore sweet auburn ringlets into a dishevelled state as possible, and rollin' my eyes like a maniac, I cried, "Stay, jailer, stay! I am not mad, but soon shall be if you don't bring me something to talk." He brung me some newspapers, for which I thanked him kindly. At last I got a interview with Jefferson Davis, the President of the Southern Confederacy. He was very perlite, and axed me to sit down and state my case. I did it, and then he larfed and said his gallant mun had been a little too enthusiastic in confiscatin' my show. "Yes," says I, "they confiscated me too muchly. I had some hosses confiscated in the same way onct, but the confiscators air now poundin' stone in the State's prison in Injianapolis." "Wall, wall, Mr. Ward, you air at liberty to depart. You air friendly to the South, I know. Even now we have many friends in the North who sympathize with us, and won't mingle with this fight." J. Davis, there's your great mistake. Many of us was your sincere friends, and thought certain parties among us was fussin' about you and meddlin' with your concerns entirely too much. But, J. Davis, the minute you fire a gun at the piece of dry goods called the Star Spangled Banner, the North gets up and rises en masse in defense of that banner. Not agin you as individuals, not agin the South even, but to save the flag. We should indeed be weak in the knees, unsound in the heart, milk white in the liver, and soft in the head, if we stood quietly by and saw this glorious Gov'ment smashed to pieces either by a furrin or an intestine foe. The gentle hearted mother hates to take her naughty child across her knee, but she knows it is her duty to do it. So we shall hate to whip the naughty South, but we must do it if you don't make back tracks at onct, and we shall wallop you out of your boots. J. Davis, it is my decided opinion that the sunny South is making a 'gregious mutton head of herself. "Go on, sir, you're safe enough. You're too small powder for me," said the President of the Southern Confederacy. "Wait till I go home and start out the Bladensville Mounted Hoss Cavalry. I'm captain of that corps, I am, and J. Davis, beware. Jefferson D., I now leave you. Farewell, my gay sailor boy. Good bye, my bold buccaneer, pirate of the deep blue sea. Adieu, adieu." My tour through the Southern Confederacy on my way home was thrilling enough for yeller covers. It will form the subject of my next. Betsy Jane and the progeny air well. Yours respectively, A. Ward.
End of chapter 1.